Are we live? Are we here for the people? I think we are because we're different, man. We've got Trevor Plouffe from the road in LA heading to a birthday dinner for family. Chris Rose has tapped in because this is a big one. Willy Adames to the San Francisco Giants, 7 years, $182 million. Producer Rob on it on a Saturday night on the East Coast. Let's talk about it. And hey, Giants fans, maybe go to SeatGeek and go see Willie because you got to pay them bills. And if you use code Talkin10, it's easier on you guys to go see Willie. Buster Posey and their ownership crew, they'll figure that out for you. Talkin10, make sure you go to SeatGeek. Go see the left side of that San Francisco infield or whatever you want to see in San Francisco. Trev, I'm going to kick to you first. You're on the road. I don't know if we're going to have you the whole time. I don't know what we got, but your instant reaction, and you're a grinder, man. You're different.
I told you guys, take a snapshot of this. This is what commitment looks like right here. Instant reactions. I'm happy for the Giants. I feel like there's some sort of negative connotation about them trying to get free agents to come there and not being able to do it, namely because it was the Judge thing. They had Carlos Correa, he slipped out, but they brought in some big dogs as of late, specifically last year with Chappie and Snell and all these guys. But getting Adames there, I mean, I feel like this signals that they're going to make more moves. Like, I don't think this is it for me. You don't go sign a guy like Willie Adames and say, we're going to cheap out around the rest of our roster. Namely, that puts them, I still think, in contention for guys like, Corbin Burns or Max Fried, these top end starters. Can they convince a Sasaki to sign with them? That's to be seen. Willie's a guy, man. He's a guy. We've talked about him so much on our show. I think that he might be a little bit underrated around the league, but if you listen to our show, you know how much we love him because he's a guy that, if you're a Giants fan, you probably know who he is because he's been on the radar, but he's a guy that shows up to work every day. He posts at shortstop, plays defense, hits homers. He's an offensive minded player as well. Added the bags last year because everybody added the bags last year. So you're getting an all around player who plays every day, who's going to be, and probably, I don't know, one of, if not the best left sides of the infield. So I'm stoked. And again, I think really my biggest takeaway here is I don't think the Giants can be done now. I think they have to, put the pedal to the metal and go out and get one of these starting pitchers, whether that's Mania Burns, whoever it is, like they have to continue to add.
Chris Rose, the better half of baseball today, people
Stop.
say. What are you
Yeah.
thinking?
Well, first of all, I want to thank everybody who invited me up to get a big league spot start today. So this is awesome. Thank you. Number two, Trevor Plouffe, whatever that filter is that you're using right now, stick with it. I want you to bring it to baseball today. You look amazing. You're not only like an A-lister in our baseball world, but driving around Hollywood, you're like an A++ lister.
Yeah.
The way you
I,
look right now. So I
I
want to
think
get
it's
that
a
stuff out of the way.
sunburn from coaching Teddy today.
Okay, that's all right. Make sure you apply at
Yeah.
least 50 on the face, okay? Or else you're going to start looking like a leather face. We don't want that. As far as the Giants, this is shocking to me. I have to admit, it is totally shocking. I thought maybe they were going to go Ha-Sung Kim, something a little lighter. And I love that Buster Posey, this is his first big move. Because for years, we have waited for the Giants to do something special, whether it was Arson Judge, offer something more than a 3 or 4 year deal to Bryce Harper. Carlos Correa, bad ankle, ouchie. They have never been able to close the gap with that big dude. Now, Willie Adames, as great as a player as he is, he's not a needle mover the way that some of those other guys that we mentioned, but he is the start of something. And I agree with you. They lost Blake Snell. Okay, they need to do something to show the fan base that we mean business. I agree this is the start. We were always told that the Giants meant business, that when it was time to go do something, and then Farhan Zaidi, for whatever reason, over those 6 years, never was able to do something. It was always nickel and diming, and we thought he made a bunch of nice moves by bringing in Snell and bringing in Chapman in the middle of camp, and we were like, oh, those are cute little moves. No, this is something where before the winter meetings, you are putting your foot down and you're saying, we mean business. And now you can go around to the rest of the representatives and, more importantly, the players and say, we're not giving up just because the Dodgers are here, just because the Padres were the team that pressed the Dodgers the most, just because the Diamondbacks, Jake's little snakes, were in the World Series 2 years ago. We are the team that won 3 times in 10, 12, and 14, and we mean something.
Chris Rose, it's not a spot start. I'd say it's more like Joel Embiid coming in and dropping 60. Like that can't be matched. No compliments on me using the same filter. That's fine.
Just remember, I don't play back-to-back, so I'm off on Sunday if you're calling me Embiid.
Same knees as Embiid. Willie Adames, he gets the 7th year. A lot of the projections were in the 5 or 6 year. He gets that 7th year, and these early on contracts have been a little more than we thought. If you're a Giants fan, how could you not be stoked? Like I've made a lot of Giants jokes the past couple years. My running joke for a couple years was they had like 7-hole hitters. Matt Chapman and Willy Adames ain't that. They're, 5-hole, 3-hole, whatever. I don't need to get into that now. But you have a left side of the infield, man. I know Willie took a step back defensively last year, but he was still fine, and I think he can still be good. Matt Chapman is special. You pair them up, you have a little bit of a team identity, and they have some righty power now. It's Chapman, it's Willy Adames. I'm kind of with Trev. The steals don't do anything for me. I think that was a little bit contract year. We got different rules. Let me swipe bags. Now that you've given him that much money, I don't know how often you want him stealing bags. I guess for me, you guys are on it. There's definitely a spot in the rotation that they have to fill. Like they have a couple young guys for the 5th spot, but if you're going to pay this for Willie and pay this for Chapman, you got to go get another starter. And I'd love to see them get a lefty power bat, man, because right now in that lineup, Lamont Wade Jr. gets on. I've seen it, and that's awesome. Jung-Hoo Lee, we got a taste, and it feels like he can be a solid contact bat, although the numbers didn't grade out great. It was a small sample. It was 37 games. He gets hurt. It feels like there's something there. But right now it feels like they need some lefty power. But if I'm a Giants fan, little fist pump, man, because if this happens, if Soto happens, I don't know if Willie goes to the Giants, and I think that's probably how he got the extra year.
You think that they wanted him and said, we want to get you now before other teams move to Willy Adames. We want to get him now. So here's an extra 7th year. That's interesting. And if that's the case, then you have to give kudos to Buster for saying, dropping it on the table and saying, okay, we'll do it. Like sometimes that's what it takes. You have to, if you want a guy, and according to Passon and our girl Susan Slusser there, that this was their primary target. It wasn't Juan Soto. They didn't feel like they were going to be in the running for him. So it's Willy Adames. And if you want a guy, go get him. Like this is what we talk about all the freaking time. And this is, I mean, I'm not shocked by it necessarily, but we started to hear, rumblings of them wanting to bring their payroll down. And we're like, how could you do that? How could you hand the reins over to Buster Posey and then say, hey, man, we got to slash payroll? With this move, I believe they still have $26 million to spend before they get back to last year's payroll. So to sign a guy like Burns, like that means that you're probably going to have to, take off from somebody else on the roster, a guy that's probably arbitration eligible. So we'll see what they do there. Or maybe we just got okey doked and they're like, no, actually, we're going to raise payroll. Like those things can change. Those decisions can change. If you're able to get your guy, hey, maybe we just go all in. They're already because Willie got the turned down the qualifying offer, excuse me. They're giving away some draft picks. If they sign another guy, like that's just more draft picks. I was actually reading up on this a little bit, going through Susan's tweets, and on some of the replies I was reading, someone made a good point. They're like, do we just give up on a complete year of a draft and a complete year of international bonus money? Do we just give up on 1 year and go all in here? Is that what we can do? And I think that's what they might have to do if they want to continue to go after these guys. And hey, it's all about the big league level. That's what I'm always saying. And if they want to make moves at the big league level, I'm okay with them giving up on a draft that most of the time you don't even hear these guys for 6-7 years, right?
Yeah, but I'm sorry, that's a bad philosophy if you're just thinking, well, let's go all in. That's not the way that you can do this. Do you know how many games they finished out of the wild card last year?
I want to say
9.
8. Okay.
9. They were 80 and 82. So this isn't the thing that's all of a sudden going to make them a 90-win team and push them into contention. This is the start of something. And when you add the type of numbers that he had, if you had put him in the lineup and he had these exact numbers, he would have had the most homers on the team. He would have had the most steals on the team. He would have had the highest OPS of anybody that had at least 100 games played. So he is a difference maker. Now, in that park, you're leaving hitter-friendly Milwaukee, and now you're putting him in San Francisco. So these numbers are going to dwindle a little bit, and we know that, and he knows that. The only number that ain't dwindling is his bank account, which is good for him. But I like this infield now, right? I think it's late night Lamont. I'd put him at first. I think you'll put Fitzgerald at second. He had a 3-week run this year where he was like the most prodigious power hitter that we had in the National League. You put Adames at short, and you put Chapman at third, and now all of a sudden we're talking. And it's not bad, but they need another frontline starter to go ahead with Logan Webb, and you hope that Robbie Ray returns to form. They need to continue to fix the bullpen. I don't know if that means bring Tanner Scott in. I think he would be a wonderful add. If not, do they trade a Mike Yastrzemski and try and get another arm that can help them back there? This is nice start, and if I'm San Francisco, I'm excited that we spent this kind of money, but if we just make this move and add a mid-starter and a mid-arm, then to me it's not worth it.
So, Rosie, I've been a little too lineup hungry the past couple years. Like even the Snakes, my little snake, I think you referenced.
Yeah, what
run
was
to the
that
World-
about?
Your cute little snakes.
That their run to the postseason. The Phillies have been dominant. The Dodgers have been dominant. Like I obviously you need to pitch, but the lineup depth, especially, that's just kind of been my baseball religion the last couple of years. Like I think the Giants are gonna find another starting pitcher, and they have a rotation. They need one more guy for me. They have your guy Logan Webb, Chris Rose rotation at the top, who's as stable as a starter you can get. Robbie Ray, he's making his way back from Tommy John, but normally it's the second year back that you look more like yourself. Jordan Hicks, Kyle Harrison, and right now Landon Roop is listed there with Tristan Beck coming back, whatever. I can find another starting pitcher to get me some outs. For me, I'm looking at the Giants and I'm saying, let's have a lineup, and I need a lefty with pop. The first name that was in my head was Jock Peterson. Bring him back. Jock balls out every year. Put him at DH. That's 15 mil, whatever. If you're willing to spend this money for Willie, how about my guy, Anthony Santander? Like, he hasn't had a perfect landing area. And, dude, you start off, late night Lamont gets on at a 380 clip. Then you go Willie. Then you go Santander. Then you go Chapman. We have an actual team now. Like, I can find a fifth starter. Give me a lineup.
Jake, where are you putting Santander? Are you strictly paying him as a DH? Because there's no way in the world that he could play outfield in that park.
Ramos can still move him to the corners. Like I am DHing him, yes. Okay. But I need power. I need pop.
Okay.
But you guys act like there's never been a bad outfielder in the big leagues before. Dude, that happens. Sometimes you get stuck with a Josh Willingham in left field. Love you, Willie. You're my guy. But if you get 35, 110 from the guy, it's okay if he zoos some balls in left field, dude. I don't know why everyone thinks now all of a sudden we have to have Gold Glovers in every position. Sometimes you need bangers. So if this is what they want to do, I'd be okay with that. Here's my question to you. It's hypothetical. I think this is very wishful thinking for the Giants. But let's just say they went and got Adames, and for position players, they were set. So, yeah, Fitzgerald plays second base. Lee comes back. Ramos does his thing again. And they added Manaya and somehow convinced Sasaki to come there. Is that, enough to take the NL West from the Dodgers or the Padres? What do we have to do? I know we're saying, hey, all you got to do is sneak in, get into the wild card, great. But, I don't think that should be your thought process. I think your thought process should be, how do we go win the division? So if I put those two guys on the team plus Adames, does that get there for you? Does it at least give them a chance?
So I would say they still need a back-end arm. I mean, do they make a play for Devin Williams? Do they – there was one other name – I was thinking about, and now I've forgotten.
Helsley?
No, I don't think that he gets traded, to be honest, right out of the gate.
Can I tell you the truth? I think some of my Twins relievers can be on the block. Like
It's
from what
possible.
I feel around like that organization, like I don't see Duran and Jax being locks on being there the entire time. I think that they're, and I haven't heard that from anyone, but like in my mind, like I don't think that they're untouchable.
By the way, Coburn in the chat, appreciate you being here, and thanks. We're over 1,000 people on the live stream, which is awesome on just a pop up Saturday here. Says that Santander is not a bad defender. He's got a great arm. He can't cover any ground, and if you put him anywhere near right field in that park, he's going to spin himself into oblivion, and he's going to need an oxygen mask just to come out with him every time he's in the field. So let's put that one to bed. Let's see here. Is there? Let me ask you this, guys. Because Jake, do you remember where
Wait,
you
nobody
had him
answered
go?
my question.
Oh.
Nobody answered my question.
I don't have them dancing with dude. I don't have anyone dancing with the Dodgers in the regular season.
Or
'Cause
Padres?
that-
Does it make it better
that's-
than the Padres?
That same Sasaki guy you mentioned might just sign with them. Like the Dodgers are in a rare air for
Sure.
until they're not.
Okay. When the Padres were there, I had to take my shirt off for a show last year with Chris Rose because they were within 3 games in the middle of September. So I don't think they're that far ahead of everybody.
And it was
like I
worth
get it.
It was
worth it.
Oh, by the way, here we go. Here's the name I all of a sudden thought of. We don't need to sign Santander. And I don't know if you love this, but don't the Cubs have a couple of outfielders that are up for sale? Right? We're listening on Bellinger and Suzuki. And I would say that Seiya wouldn't be a bad fit out there in the outfield. Just a thought.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think, and it's kind of where Trev started, that there's more coming. And I would say the Buster Posey part of this is significant. Like for him to take that job, but doesn't Buster Posey have, does he have Powerade money? What did he invest in? He's got, Trev, you were on this.
Now you're putting me on the spot. Is it vitamin water? Is he one of those
I think it was
guys?
vitamin water. So Buster, he made a lot playing baseball. I think he's doing good off the field too.
I think you're right about that. Okay, you bring in a GM or president of baseball ops who's not Buster Posey, and you're the owner. You're like, no, like I'm going to make the decisions. I think it's Body Armor, so we made a lot of money with. Thank you, Baba.
Nice.
If you're an owner and you're talking to Buster Posey, I think there's like more weight that comes along with it. If Buster puts his foot down and says, this is the guy we need. I've been in the clubhouse. Like, this is the guy that we need. I think that weighs more than, I guess I'll say, like, than Zaidi saying it, apparently. Right?
Yeah, I mean, I would think so. You have to remember, he's also part of the ownership group,
Yeah.
Buster Posey.
That too.
So yeah, he didn't come at this job with 4 young kids in order to be stymied by ownership saying, yeah, we're going to run it this way. I mean, he had to have that assurance coming in that he could run it not recklessly, but the way that he wanted to. And I think this is a great stamp of approval. And you better believe that he's going to be puffing out his chest Monday in Dallas, I think. By the way, Jake.
And the other thing, okay, so when we've thought about the teams that are players this offseason, Trev goes kind of on it. There's this Giants reputation now where, they don't get the biggest guy, but they actually ended up spending at the end of last free agency between Jung-Hoo Lee, Matt Chapman. I think there was another pitcher they brought in that was like, okay, so the Giants are in play. And I think that's the bigger thing. Like, okay, the Dodgers are the Dodgers, and that is what it is. And again, if you don't like this part of baseball right now, like, hey, if we're being honest, teams need to get to 88 wins. Rosie said they missed the playoffs by 8 games. These Giants need to get to the dance. Hey, Trev, I see a head shaking, but like
88's better than 84. So
right. Job. It's right. Hey, that's a good thing. I guess for me, the Giants are players, and whether that's Santander, whether that's Cody Bellinger, whether that's Sean Manaea, like whoever that is, they're in play. And I don't think the Dodgers are worried because nothing worries the Dodgers, and they're kind of right to be. But if I'm my little snake, if I'm the Padres, because we don't know where their offseason is going to go, is there, the new ownership there? Are they willing to fully invest? Like it seems like these Giants are. That the NL West is, that second part of the NL West is wide open, which is going to be one of the scarier teams in the playoffs. And the other thing, and I don't know if we want to transition to what we thought Willie's market was. It was kind of Dodgers, Giants, Braves. So I wonder, was any of this Dodgers defense?
It could be like, yeah, that's a team they're competing with a ton. I mean, I think that they were, like I said, from Slusser, she believed that was their number one target. So Buster did what he had to do to go get him. Was it Dodger defense? I don't know. I guess that's part of the equation, but I think it's more of, hey, we're going to go get our guy. So we went and got our guy. And that's it's kind of refreshing, to be honest with you.
By the way, I just got a text from a major leaguer who wants to push back on your Buster Posey. He goes, why does it matter how much money Buster Posey has made? Ha ha. He said he's running the team, not spending his money, which is a good point. And by the way, welcome major leaguer to the chat.
But I'm saying this. If you're Buster Posey, you could do a lot. He could play golf every day. He could start a t-shirt he could do. Those are my creative ideas. Those are my creative ideas.
Golf in a t-shirt company. Okay.
I guess a light bulb went off for me a little bit that if I'm Buster Posey and I'm going to take this job on, I better have that bankroll behind me, which we kind of knew, but I didn't know to this level.
Buster Posey's obviously a very smart guy. Didn't he go to Florida State? Isn't like a party school? Like where did this come from? Is this God-given smarts or what? Do I not know what Florida State is?
Yes, well, there's plenty of smart kids that go to Florida State. You have no idea how hard it is to get into school. I just went through that with Brady. It's hard to get into every school now. Just want to let you know. Let me ask you this, Jake.
Okay.
You were the one who drafted Willy Adames in our free agency draft. Do you remember where you had him going?
Oh God. Yeah, of course I do. No, I don't. Was it
I know, it's the Braves.
Braves?
Yes. It was 6 years for the Braves. And so do you think this is a big swing and a miss for them?
No, nothing's a swing and a miss for the Braves yet. Like, sure, everyone has eyes for the Dodgers right now. They just won the World Series. They have the best player to ever play baseball. And after that, they have other Hall of Famers. Like, the Dodgers are the Dodgers. The Braves are respected in a very similar light. They lost the MVP and the Cy Young favorite pretty early on last year, and yet they traded for Chris Sale before the season, and they turned him into a Cy Young winner again. Like, the Braves' injuries last year were crazy, and Chris, we're both sports losers, to say it in a nice way. Like, injuries are a big part of the secret sauce. Look at the San Francisco 49ers. They're supposed to be as dominant year in, year out as any football team, but they've been killed with injuries this year. That I think the Braves, it's currently a miss, because I think every Braves fan has been looking at that shortstop position the last year or so and been like, Arcia had that kind of really good first half of a season, and it was Braves voodoo. There's still a lot of offseason left that the Braves front office has earned the respect to, like, Willy Adames is off the board. Our offseason's ruined. No.
By the way, Trev, where the hell is your dinner? I mean, you've been in the car for like 50 minutes. Where are we going? Palm Springs?
We're going to Costa Mesa. I don't even know where Costa Mesa is. I know it's south.
Yeah, you're going all the way to Costa Mesa.
Yeah, man. Look, I'll do anything to celebrate the man that gave me my beautiful bride. Okay.
Oh yes,
yeah.
Right.
That away.
So a little behind the scenes. We put out the bat signal. Jimmy's in Australia. Trev's like, I'm about to go 2-hour drive for dinner. Chris Rose is doing charity work, obviously. I was watching Wicked. I'll be honest. It was okay. And you know what's better than that? Built. Today's episode is sponsored by Built and their rewards for anyone who pays rent. If you haven't heard of Built, you're about to thank me. Earning points on rent is now a reality when you pay your rent through Built. You don't have to check with your landlord. Start earning points that you can use towards flights, hotels, fitness classes, even your next rent payment. There's no cost to join Built. As a member, you'll earn valuable points on rent. and your everyday spending. There are over 500 airlines, 700,000 hotels where you can redeem your Built points toward. Start earning today on your rent. Join built.com/talking. That's joinbuilt.com/talking. Make sure you use our URL so they know we sent you. BILT. Joinbuilt.com/talking. Start earning points today. Rosie, you were alluding to it a little bit with the Braves question, and I guess this is maybe I didn't process it enough, and you have the answer, or Trev does. I want to hear you first, and we'll keep Trev driving. Ha-Sung Kim is the only free agent shortstop left. Who, by the way, I think today's was a great day for Ha-Sung Kim's age. Ha-Sung Kim, obviously he's not going to bring the offensive profile, but that guy can rack up WAR for you at shortstop. That I guess if I'm a team that needs a shortstop, should I be a little panicky that maybe there's not a trade market, or it's just, I don't want to say just Ha-Sung Kim, but that's one guy.
Yeah, the other guy I would keep my eye on is, and it's all dependent on what happens with Juan Soto, is Toronto and Bo Bichette. Now, I know that the Blue Jays would be selling very low on him. He's coming off a terrible year. He's been actually awful since August of 2023. He hasn't been healthy on top of that, and he's in his walk year. So it's not like Toronto probably wants to hang on to him at least until the All-Star break to see if he could be a batting difference maker for a contender down the stretch. That's the only other guy I could see that moves at this point. There might be one or two other guys that shake loose, but Kim, you know exactly what you're getting, right? A couple of years ago, he had an OPS near 750. That's kind of where he maxes out, but he's more along the lines of a low 700 OPS, but plays wicked defense, whether it's short or second. Good solid base runner. It's an upgrade for Atlanta, I can tell you that. Orlando Arcia was horrific, and also with that lineup, you're paying the other guys to go mash the ball. I want a shortstop in that lineup that's going to make every frickin' play and occasionally shine. I think he would actually be a good move there, but that's me.
I mean, I like Ha-Sung Kim in Milwaukee. I think he kind of fits the bill, but I think you kind of maybe crushed it right there, Jake, when you said his agent's really stoked on what just happened. So maybe he just got driven out of their price range and right into the Braves price range. It's going to be interesting. I mean, talking to guys that have played with him, he's kind of, I don't know him at all. I've never played with him, but he's also like a great clubhouse guy. People really rally around him. So he's a welcome addition to any team. It is a thin market, and you've been on that Bichette trading train for a long time, Rosie. I'm curious to see what they do. They want to hang on and just get the qualifying offer to him. So I'm assuming even if he has a bad year, Bo Bichette's going to get a qualifying offer, right? Like there's no way around that. So we'll see, man. We'll see how it goes.
I'm trying to think other, winners and losers from this transaction. The rest of the NL West, like there's major eyes. I mean, the Dodgers are going to be fine, but we know they're still going to be active. What are the Snakes going to do in free agency / flipping Monty? What are the Padres going to do? I think another big winner today was Alex Bregman, because there was rumors that Adames was going to play third. Okay, if I expand it to left side of the infield this free agency, even though Bregman said he might play second too, Willy Adames and Alex Bregman profile similarly, and we were kind of wondering, is Bregman going to get that 6-year? Where's his number going to land at? And you have to figure, I don't know, I in my head, Willie was going to get slightly more because a team was going to get him to be the shortstop. But Bregman, he's got the Hall of Fame resume, and he puts up 4 WAR every year. That this has to be good for him, right?
Yeah, well, Plouffe and I talked about this on Friday's show when we said that, according to Brian McTaggart, who covers the Astros for MLB.com, he said they made their initial offer of 6 for 156. I'll save you the math. That's 26 per year. Just so you know, guys like Rendon and Devers and Arenado are all over 30. And for a guy who took kind of a team-friendly-ish deal earlier in his career, this is going to be his time to strike it rich. I don't think he signs for that. I think this number certainly helps him. I wouldn't be surprised, even though he's a Boris guy, that he'll be off the board even by this time next week. It would not surprise me. I don't think that he's a guy that everybody's going to wait for the Soto train to park before he ends up signing. I mean, I think he could be a guy now that goes over the next 5 or 6 days.
Makes sense.
Let's hope this, is a really nice warm up to the winter meetings. We're gonna have a bunch of news. As far as Bregman, I like him in Houston. I think he stays there. I think we both talked about that. We both kind of have that feeling that they're going to make that happen. Figure out what they're going to do with Tucker and Framber, our guys, and go from there. But if you let him leave, it's just too much. It's too much. I just feel like he needs to be in Houston. I think was it you and I that talked about that, Jake, or was that you and I, Rosie?
I think we did on Friday. I know.
Yeah, we might have both talked about it, but he just
Yeah.
seems like he's going to stay in Houston to me, unless he gets crazy offers from somebody else.
Hey, Jake, do we have time real quickly to talk about Tyler O'Neill going to the Birds?
If you want to, yeah. I mean, I didn't want to back burner him. We've got a couple transactions that we still haven't sevied Clay Holmes, but Chris Rose, to get your Tyler O'Neill thoughts, hit me, baby.
Yeah. So I had Teoscar going to the Orioles in our little free agency draft. That will obviously not be happening. I'm curious how much them moving in the fences played into their pursuit of a guy like Tyler O'Neill and also his interest. Obviously, his interest is the $49.5 million that he's going to be getting in the next 3 years, which I think is awesome because at this time last year, he was a forgotten man in St. Louis. And, he went from an MVP-ish sort of player that was ascending to a guy who's not running hard between third and home, who might have a bad hamstring or something like that. And he kind of, I'm not going to say reinvented himself, but he certainly upped his production, and everybody went, wow, we need a right-handed pop. And I think more importantly, if you follow the story, what does this mean for an organization that has more young players already at the major league level and still on the cusp of making it, that they are willing to trade in order to better this team? Because they peaked at 100 wins after 2023. They got smacked by the eventual champs, the Texas Rangers, and then last year had it handed to them as well. How do they get back to where they are an ascending team? And I think it starts this offseason with Mike Elias pulling some trades off, and signing Tyler O'Neill allows them to do that.
Coach?
I like that thought process right there. We've kind of been begging them to use some of that prospect capital, some of that young player capital to go and fill the needs, particularly in the rotation. So I'm all about that, Chris. I didn't really think about that aspect. I did think about the Wall bringing, the power back into play for that position. But to think that he's going to fill the roster position and then take away somebody's playing time that can be traded to fill in some other pieces, that makes a lot of sense to me. I mean, they have to do something. You're right. They had that run in 2023. They were still good last year, but they can't follow that Blue Jays model where they get there, but they just don't take that next step. So I think that's where their head's at, and you have to imagine they are going to take those moves.
Yeah, I just want to, this is a little bit of cop out, but what else is with it? Is it Corbin Burns is back? Is Max Fried back? Like, did they not go for a Teoscar type because Tyler O'Neill's a little cheaper and they're going to spend on the pitching? Or, hey, that Tyler, if they have to replace Santander and Corbin Burns, that's 40-something taters and a true ace in the rotation that I need to see what else is with it. And hey, if they freed up those prospects to be traded for Garrett Crochet, then yeah, Orioles, like you're at the dance. You needed to take a step up after the past 2 years.
You can't get that sort of like good vibes, good press, all these things that the Orioles have gotten over the last couple of years, and then not do anything with it. Like, you have to go to the next level when you're in this sort of. I hate calling them windows, but they are. That's what it is right now. Like, you have capital, you have good players at the major level that are affordable. So you just switched ownership. You should have like financial flexibility. Like, this is the time. Like, what if not now? When? That's a great Incubus album. Go check it out.
Yeah, I think that's the most important thing you said, other than the Incubus album, was that the ownership has changed. And it's a guy who's a Baltimore native who loves the Orioles, and he saved them from previous ownership, right? I mean, the Angelos family, they sullied this entire franchise and their name with what has gone on the last couple of decades. And now you brought in a guy who we understand is willing to spend. He goes out there and sprays the water with the fans. Seems like a man of the people. He should be the guy that says, let's do this. Let's get this done, and let's be badasses in the AL East for the next 5 years. So that's my thoughts.
Hey, another quick win for the players. The opt-outs. I didn't know Tyler O'Neill's got an opt-out after the first year. So if he stays healthy for $135 and racks up 5 WAR playing good defense and he could hit free agency again. And like you talked about, Rosie, his path from Cardinals player gets hurt a lot, doesn't run to this contract and potentially another. Good for Tyler O'Neill, a guy you don't want to see at the dish, speaking from the Yankee perspective this season when he's there. And yeah, it's what else will they do? What else will the Giants do? A little orange and black episode of Talking Baseball between the Giants and the Orioles. Hey, I was teeing it up before and I forgot the best part of it. Thank you guys for hopping on Saturday. Trev in the car, Olivia driving, the kids in the back seat, Rose coming back from the fundraiser, and me making it through Wicked. I don't know. I'm just a sports guy. Give me the college championship games. And I don't know, guys, maybe Trev, maybe we'll see you in the middle of dinner for Soto or something like that.
Not happening. I'm starving.
All right, boys. We'll see you Monday for Baseball Today when we break down all this stuff, and who knows what else is going to happen over the next 24 to 36 hours.
Amen. Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Rob Sirocco, producing his butts off. Everyone, share, like, subscribe, all the good stuff, and we'll be talking ball soon, I